Ah. Oh my goodness. And your mic's working, yeah. Yeah, it's something clicked then.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, I can hear you.
How are you, man?
I'm good.
Mate, what's that background?
Oh, I was on a Zoom yesterday. It showed me how to change the background.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
See? It's good, isn't it, man?
yeah,
Are you all right?
I'm good.
You good? Yeah.
Yeah. Let me test if this works. Um, uh, Screen share. I don't see the screen share button.
Right. So if you
Oh,
at the bottom of the screen, it's in green.
it's green.
Yeah. So hold on 1 second. Just get rid of that. And so if you just share your screen.
Yeah, just a second. I think like if that doesn't work, I can share my screen on my other computer
Mm-hmm.
and then use webcam on this one.
Mm-hmm. It should work. It should work pretty well for sharing screen. It's pretty good like that.
Okay.
Because what I'll probably do, Jason, is I might we might jump between screens while we do this as well, because I might want to refer to a couple of bits as we're talking and stuff. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it.
Works.
That's it. Yeah, that's spot on.
Okay.
So let me just see. Swap shared screen with video. What's that? No, want that. Right, that's good, because what I've got, you see, Jason, is I've got
Yeah.
I've got us in a window, you see,
Mm-hmm.
on the screen, so it works really well with that side of it. So I'll just decide where I'm going to put I'll put it about there, just out the way a little bit. So that's fine. That's pretty good. All right. Do you want to just jump back out of your shared screen a minute, mate, and then we'll get started, eh? All right, mate. What do you think of my headset, man? It's massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
huge. My other set broke, and I bought some new ones, and they came the other day, and I was really excited about them coming, and then I put them on and realized it, like, either I've got a really small head, or like these are just
Yeah.
massive, but they glow. Look, see, they're like proper gamer ones. I don't know.
You don't have the cat ears though.
No, I
It's
don't have the
not
cat
working.
ears, mate. I'm no fairy. I'm not Jack. I'm a. So, how have you been, mate? Are you all right?
I've been good.
You've been good.
I've been good. I don't have to travel, so that's good. Before the commute was like 4 hours each day, so this is like I can't complain.
Yeah, it's mad. Your camera's set up so it just shows like just all head. He looks a bit mad.
Oh
What I was going to say. So yeah, I mean, commuting from Manchester to Liverpool every day, isn't it? That. So
yeah,
that's a bit of a trek, like. And I also, I suppose, really, because you've just getting into the job as well. It must be a bit crazy, like having to suddenly then, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to work from home for this.
yeah.
So,
It's okay because
so
like I just draw, so it's not like I do anything complicated. I just talk
oh,
to one person.
you just draw. It's not complicated. Yeah, all right. You play it down, mate. Play it down as much as you wish. So obviously you work for Fire Sprite in Liverpool,
Yeah.
and you've been there for how long?
Been there since February the
February.
10th.
See,
That's almost 3 months.
yeah. And are
Yeah.
you? What's it been like? Have they been really good, especially through like communication and stuff like that? With
Yeah, they've been really kind.
yeah, and
Um,
do they
very.
support you quite a lot?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They check up every now and then, and we have calls to
Mm,
see how we're doing. That's pretty good.
cool.
Um,
All right. So what we're gonna do, right, is that like through the month of May, we've been doing a competition with our mutual friend Glenn, right?
yeah. Glad.
So they have to do a drawing a day, right? So it's a
Right.
quick drawing. So I know that it's probably putting you a bit on the spot now, but I'm going to ask you to do a drawing, all right,
Okay.
off the list. So today it should be. I think I told you what it would be. Did I tell? Is it a creature?
It's the Yeah, it's the evolved creature.
Devolved creature, right? So
Completely evolved.
you've got right the entirety of this interview to knock up something, right, for that
Okay.
for that challenge. Now, depending how long I witter on for, right, and how long it takes, we'll see. But essentially, yeah, we're going to get you to do a bit of drawing, and I'll just chat with you. And maybe a little bit through the way, I want to kind of look at bits of your work as well. Will you be up
Uh-huh.
for that? Maybe just have a little
Yeah.
chat about that. And in particular,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Both fun.
right just before we start. Right, can you remember the drawing that you showed me the first day that you came to see me at the open day?
Oh. Oh, did I show you a drawing? Oh
Yes, you
man,
did. Yes.
wait. Right. I think I have it here somewhere.
Right. Well, you find that because I'm going to ask you to pull it up later. Right.
Okay.
Okay. Because I
Did
think it's
I post a lot of drawings to your Facebook page?
you
Like
posted. Hi. Yeah. Do you know what? It is probably on my Facebook page. Like right early on, it was. We'll go into that a little bit, yeah, because you were very persistent at one time, and so you did post that drawing up, and it's an important drawing. You know what I mean? So,
uh,
do you know where it is? Have you
um
reckon you'll be able to find it?
it might take me a while to dig up.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do while we yeah, I'll
Yep.
see if we can find it on the Facebook. If you know where, if you can lay your hands on it pretty quick, that'd be better. Um,
I'll just go into my old stuff. Maybe it's here.
So while you're looking
Um,
for that, I'll give right. So um, this is quite an important interview. This I know you've just done one with the rookies, right? Which is obviously that's been shared quite a bit and stuff, and it was a really good, really good concise interview. But I wanted to ask you a couple of questions that maybe we ain't covered in the interview and stuff, and mainly because I know you a little bit better anyway, so I can
mhm.
sort of ask you a few more bits out of it. But so you came to us from what school?
um, Virtual High School.
Was it
Virtual, yeah,
Birchall High School,
yeah.
right?
Might be
And
Academy now.
be an academy.
Yeah.
And what subjects did you do at school, Jason?
The usual stuff. Just product design, computer science, math, geography. Uh, I wouldn't put too much weight on them because they don't matter that much.
Well, they don't matter to you because at that time it was kind of like you were picking your GCSEs as every kid is doing, and without an understanding of what it is that you wanted to do, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I'm the only thing I would put weight on would be maybe art and maybe product design because they were fun.
but at that stage, then did you know that this was what you wanted to do, though? Even then,
Um, at the end in year 11, that's when I started knowing like I wanted to do this.
Yeah. But did you
And
always have like an artistic flair? Were you pretty good like with a pencil? Were you? Did you like?
oh no, I only started properly in 2015 because
Right.
like before I've just played a lot of video games, like
Yeah.
a lot of video games.
A little like bedroom warrior.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And um, I used to draw when I was small, but then after I discovered Minecraft on a video game, I stopped drawing, and
Yeah.
I pretty much had to start learning it from scratch.
Yeah.
Um, I do have a, I do have my own very first sketchbook here. As a, I don't know if this is gonna show up. Like, this is the very first thing. Wait, can you see? Oh,
Oh, you kind of. You the green screen takes out. Sketchbook 1.
yeah. Let me see
Yeah.
if I can turn the green screen off for a bit, or just forever. Um,
This is where we see the chaos that is your bedroom, which is
uh,
no chaos. That's it. Yeah.
no.
Sketchbook 1.
Sketchbook one,
Right. You
2015.
shows your first page, your first entry in that sketchbook, mate.
Oh, this camera is actually quite convenient. Oh, yeah, it's gonna work.
It might help. The little advertising there for Wacom, just so you know, guys.
Yeah.
It's a bit blurry, mate, but let's have a go. Let's see.
Oh. Yeah. No. Okay. I can put it off the ledge. No, it's gonna work.
This is not gonna work. Go on, there you go. That'll do. That'll do. That'll do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sketchbook one, and I have a drawing of tomato because I planted like tomatoes in my back garden at the time, and I
Right.
wrote like an entry on tomatoes.
Yeah.
I think this was a drawing of. Yeah, this was a drawing of the dentist. This is 2015. I was at
Yeah.
the dentist. The halls in the high school I went to, because I think I was on prefect duty with nothing to do, so
Who
I just
who
had a
who
sketchbook.
started you off getting into a sketchbook, mate? Did you just decide, oh, I'm going to start drawing, or was it like this? Because it's quite a thing, isn't it, with regards to sketchbooks? It's like start drawing. We say it to a lot of students: get a sketchbook and just draw. Did someone say that to you?
No, but like I watched enough interviews online of professional artists, and I've watched enough like tutorials to know I should have a sketchbook,
Yeah.
and also it just lets me draw when I want to, like at
Yeah.
school, because I
Yeah.
can't bring a paper around with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, just really shit stuff as you do.
And then
That's the
I
first
assume you were
history.
starting to pay more of attention in art, and then you started to watch quite a lot of videos as well, right?
Yeah, I watched quite a lot of videos actually. Like, I watched like dynamic sketching, which is something you can find on CGMA,
Yeah.
and that was really good. I think this drawing was from dynamic sketching. It was just like
Wow.
drawing stuff from life and
So
then breaking it down into simple shapes.
yeah. So it really did shift quite quickly then. Like your drawing really did start to develop quite quickly.
I wouldn't say that. Like, whoops. Okay, is this working? Um, that one, the good stuff is usually like photograph copies. I was good enough to like look at a photograph and kind of get it right, but I wasn't good at drawing stuff from imagination.
Yeah. Okay, there's also this massive thing with Jason in the sense that he's unbelievably modest for people that don't know him.
Oh
Like,
no, I
yeah, you are.
know.
I mean, it's like very not overly self-critical, very modest, but critical in a good way. I think because every criticism that you've had, it then develops into developing your skill in your drawing, as opposed to putting you off. It's never put you off, has it? Well, it hasn't, because you are where you are now.
Oh,
Um,
it's just more like want to be honest with myself. It's not modest, just like as honest as I can because I don't want to lie to myself,
Yeah,
and it would like it would impact myself if I just kept lying to myself or like didn't see things the way it was.
yeah. Right, let's do this drawing then, mate. Come on, let's get you
Okay.
started in this. Let's get you cracking, and we'll chat as you draw if you can. This is a skill that I don't know if you've got. I don't know if you can chat while drawing. Have you tried it?
Oh, I have, but like I'm not like don't expect really coherent speaking on drawing.
Well,
Sometimes,
what we can do is if it starts getting a little bit distracting, we'll stop and we'll have a look at some of your stuff. So if you get a drawing out of this today, that'd be pretty cool. But the
okay.
main thing is like I wanted to catch up and chat with you. So if you can draw at the same time, that'd be really cool. So you came from Birchall, and how did you find out about us? So how did you end up at Priestley?
Well, I was looking for game design schools. I mean, game design things near in the area
Mm-hmm.
since concept art was a bit out too specialized. And of the ones I found, I think Priestley was the one that had the best reviews as a school overall. Like I saw a couple of others, but I didn't like them too much.
Well, this was something that we found out quite a lot later on from you. Is that if there's anything that you do, it's your homework. You research into any decision that you decide to make, and that even goes for like picking a college coming out of school, right through to the universities that you go to and that you looked at, and also the jobs that you applied for. So quite early on, you were looking specifically for something. You had something in mind, right?
Yeah, yeah, quite early on I had something in mind. I didn't want to like um just do what everyone else did was study like psychology or English or whatever because it didn't interest me that much. I wanted to do something related to concept art and games was the closest I could find.
Yeah.
And
Um.
it was fun, like doing game design, uh,
Yeah, because
programming and modeling.
you were still really into your games as well. Let's not forget, you were still playing games at that time. And do you play
Uh,
much games now?
I haven't played games for a while, but recently I started to try and find more time to play games.
Is
It's
that
like,
is that more to do with your work? Is that trying to help with the work aspect of it, or
um, no, I just want to like, I just don't see, um, uh, like last year or before, I was really like stuck on the idea I have to be the best or get good as quickly as possible.
mm-hmm.
And like that mentality left no room for doing anything other than drawing. And my mentality has slowly shifted to just doing stuff that's enjoyable for me and having fun and like more balance in life.
Yeah, because even when you were with us, you were extremely focused. You had like, I mean, you put yourself under a great deal of pressure in order to kind of develop your skills. And if we consider the timeline that we're looking at here, you're how old are you now?
I'm 19, but I'm
So
almost 20.
right, so let's say you're 20 years old. You left school, you went to college. There's a couple of other places that you did, which we'll get into in a little while. And you're just turning 20, and you're now in a job. You're now in a professional job, doing a job where most people will have had to have studied and got some experience before basically getting into it. So it's the level of commitment and pressure you put yourself under in the early stages of your development enabled you to get to the stage it is now. But it came at a bit of a cost, right?
Yeah, it came with yeah, I didn't have as much time to do other stuff.
Yeah.
And I did have to go skip uni and I guess go to other countries. which is, I guess, an experience in
But
itself.
that was, I mean, we're going to get to that in a bit, like about the whole sort of uni aspect of it, because I find that massively interesting with the way that you'd made your decision and the way that you decided to do things your own way. So, but if we go back and look at sort of like the commitment side of it, it did come at a bit of a price because, even early on when you were with us, it was clear that you were really focused on your work and less focused on things like, I don't know, like social um, activities, going out, mate,
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah,
thing. That
yeah.
wasn't a priority at any point, was it?
No, that wasn't a priority at any point. But like, I was pretty shy as
Yeah,
well, so that could be seen as just avoiding it, like avoiding the social part of it by working. I know
yeah.
I did that quite a lot in high school.
Did you find it easier to socialize though when you got to college and you were working with people that were a little bit
Oh,
similar?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was working with people who like games, so that was easier. But first few days at college, I was still really shy.
Yeah,
Um, I've kind of gotten over it now. Like I've since I came back from Canada, I've been like working to be just braver and just like tougher. And
yeah,
just if I'm scared of something, I usually just push myself and just do it now. But that's something else.
yeah. That's something else. So when you were at college, there was a few things that happened. We finished our first year, brilliant, a brilliant first year with regards to like outcome wise. You made your first game as well. I think it was your first game. Well, it was definitely your first team game,
Yeah.
which was absolutely mega. And that's up on our itch.io as well, guys. So I'll put a link in the description so you can have a look at that. Because it's, again, even at this stage, we're looking at visuals, which took quite a lot of time. And what I always found interesting about that project was that you basically taught your team to to create the artwork the way that you wanted it to look.
Oh. Oh yeah. Oh.
So just for those people that know, like what we did in the first year, we don't do it now. We do our team games in the second year, but we did our final game in the first year was a team game. It was an educational game. So there was about 4 or 5 students that would be in a team, and they would make a 4 or 5 level 2D platform game. Now, Jason had a number of students in his team, and one of those, some of them were more programming side, some art side, some design side. But the interesting thing with this was like the consistency of the look of the game was throughout, and that was down to the fact that you basically trained your team to be able to create the artwork. And he's laughing
Oh.
now because we it was funny to watch seeing Jason whip a group of students into shape. It was absolutely
Oh.
fantastic to see and like quite odd at the same time. But it was a fun project, right?
Yeah. It was really fun. I learned how to code. I learned how to code pretty much on that project.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of
Before
you.
that project, I didn't know how to program at all. But
I mean, I don't suppose you've touched programming at all since, right?
no, no. But uh, I was pretty proud of what I achieved in terms of programming on that project,
Yeah,
especially like I guess on my levels with the. I remember writing the programming for a pathfinding robot, and
yeah,
when I saw that work in the game, it just went where it needed to go by itself,
yeah,
like avoiding all the obstacles. I was so happy.
yeah.
That was really satisfying when that happened.
So, also in that year group, I mean, you had quite a bit of there was little bits of competition in that year group as well, wasn't there? Because there was some great characters in this particular year group. And this, by the way, guys, this particular year group is still actually in uni, so they're finishing their second year at university now, and that kind of also shows how the speed and development of Jason, and why Jason is quite extraordinary in the sense of why he's now working in industry when people in the same year group are just finishing their second year. This is down to the route that he took and the dedication that he put into his work. But like, there was a little bit of competition there as well, though, right? So we did. We also put you into the Search for a Star competition, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
remember the grads and
Yeah,
games?
you told me it was a concept art competition.
That's right.
You told me it was for concept art. And I was like, if it's for concept art, why do I have to submit a 3D model to enter?
That's
And I
right.
submitted it. And it turned out to be a character modeling competition.
That's right. So there was you and there was Matt Brett. And like,
Oh,
obviously,
yeah.
Matt Brett's one of your mates as well. But
Yeah.
he's a bit of a character himself. And he's also a bit of a competitionist, isn't he? Kind of like, he kind of likes the competitive nature and the challenge of the pair of you, because he's also a very good artist.
Yeah.
So there was always that little bit of banter there between the two of you. But you two got through, entered in, and then were invited down to the final. And what was interesting was this was at the end of year one, right, of the course.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a competition for grads. So this was a degree competition. And even though we didn't win it, although I think we should have won it, and if Ian's watching this from Aardvark, who runs grads and games, we were robbed that year because Jason and Matt should have won that, right? But anyway, you should. It just showed again the development and the skill coming out at that time, and how you're pushing it. And like you said, you started to model a bit more then as well. So you were using different software, right?
Yeah, I learned ZBrush on that project pretty much doing the entry for the search for the star.
That's right.
But it was mostly like following tutorials online and learning from those with the entry.
So I wonder if I've got that here. So I'm gonna show this. I'm gonna see if I can show this on the screen. All right.
Do you want to?
I'll stop yours. It's all right. Yeah, you can share it again. You carry on, and I'll show this.
Okay.
So 1 second, I'll get that up. So yeah, we have some of that you did that year. So I'll pop that up now and show the guys. Yep. So this is your art station. And do you mind, Jason? I'm going to put your art station link in the description. Is that okay?
Oh, sure.
Right?
The search for a star thing is not there though.
Oh no, that's right. Because I thought that was it.
No, that was the. If you give me a moment, I'll unhide the search for a star thing.
Okay, so what I'll do is, first of all, I'll show you this, because this was actually what I was talking about earlier. This was the project that you did at the end of the first year.
Yeah.
So this was the 2D game.
Oh, yeah. 2D game.
And again, the team had to obviously follow the style, and you taught quite a lot of this throughout the team to get it looking consistent. And even at this stage, and you've got to understand, and those people that know the course well will know what we do in the first year. We do quite a lot of work and look at different software and stuff, but we mainly work in 3D for the first 3 projects, and 2D comes into it pretty much like the last project. So you can see, like, to be able to do something like what you guys did here, and this plays as well. So I will put this in the link for that. So I'm going to come back to that as well. I'm going to come back to that again later. I'll stop sharing that, and you can go back to you.
Yeah, if you look on refresh the page,
oh right, okay.
Search for a star should be there now, and the game project, to be fair, is like Sinead from the project was already familiar with 2D pixel
That's
art.
right.
So
Yeah, she was very good
yeah,
as well. Yeah.
yeah, she was
Uh,
really good, and it was mostly like getting Jack to like coaching Jack on how to get the pixel art look. That was
there it
good.
is. There it is. That's the one, isn't it? So,
Yeah,
right. So again, I need to point out at this point, right? You had not long used ZBrush, so this was your first real big project in ZBrush, right? And
yeah,
also,
yeah.
what did you use to? You used a 3D coat, right, for this?
No, I used Marvelous and
Oh, did
ZBrush.
you? You
Yeah,
used
Marvelous
Marvelous in.
Designer and ZBrush, and Substance Painter. I
Right.
didn't use
Okay.
Designer because I didn't know how.
Right. Okay. So again, I stress this is like this was given to him alongside what you were doing in year one, and it was like a push and a test to kind of like get you working and focusing on the next level of skill. And we wouldn't normally do this within year one. This isn't something that would ever crop up in year one. It's like there's only a certain amount of students that would necessarily I would give them pieces or suggest that they did this. But you did this as well as finishing the latter parts of the project. And like I say, you got invited down to the final, so you got through to the final set, and obviously, and the people that were that won were obviously graduates for it. But I still think that this again shows the speed of development for you from the point again within a year of, or let's say a couple of years, from moving from school into college and getting to this point, where a lot of students are maybe sort of getting to this point when they're in the first, second year of a degree. So we knew at this stage that you're pretty special. We knew that you're going to be moving quite quickly with this, and that your skills are going to be moving quite quickly with it. So,
Uh, I'm not sure because like that project was mostly following like a tutorial. Like it guided me through each stage, so it was mostly like following instructions on how to make a Lego or like
yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't say because I think even with that project there was a lot of flaws with like the UV mapping or actually making it work in a game because
yeah.
I only made the model, but I wasn't too familiar with um, how to make it work in a game. Like I focused mostly on the look of the model.
Yeah, because that other one came next, right? So this one that I showed earlier, that came next, wasn't it? Or was that just a practice?
Um, that was after I did the internship with Glenn when I came back.
Ah, right. So we'll jump into that in a minute. So this was like the next one that you played around with, and again, that was with you were playing around with Marvelous Designer as well with that, right?
Yeah, yeah, for the cloths and stuff.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
this is a timeline for this as well. This is like just coming into year two. So okay, so we'll go back to your drawing. Do you want to share your go back
Yep.
to what you're working on? And so yeah, so from that point then, Jason, we
Mhm.
then we were getting towards the end of the year, and we started to have a conversation about what was happening and what you wanted to do. And there was a whole thing about obviously you were moving into your parents were moving into Manchester was one thing. uh,
Yeah,
we didn't know if you were going to be able to continue on at college because of obviously the travel aspect of it, but also there was still some uncertainty about what was right with regards to the course and if it was going to help. And this is when Glenn stepped in, right? So this is
yeah,
when our good friend Glenn
yeah.
sort of
This is when Glenn stepped in and helped me out.
like, so he essentially gave you a job.
Yeah, yeah.
So
He gave me a job.
do you
Hmm?
want to talk us through a little bit of that and how that came about?
Uh, I don't remember it too well. Like I think you got us to sit down and chat in
Yeah,
Priestley, in the staff rooms, and
yeah,
he just said to come over and do some concept art for him,
That's right.
and
So
it
I
was working on, yeah.
so I felt like what we were giving you at that point in time was I couldn't get the level that I needed to give you with regards to fine tuning your skill. But I was also starting to see at this point that it was more about how you were managing yourself and how you were managing your time and how you were managing your workload because you were very intense.
Yeah.
And so,
Uh,
and I know that Glenn, he obviously manages massive workloads and a lot of deadlines, and he also is able to continue doing his art as well. So there's a good similarities between the two of you. So that's why I decided to kind of introduce you to Glenn at that point. So what happened then? What happened when you went to work with Glenn?
um, well, I think I sat down with him with my mom, and we just talked about what he wanted me to do for him, which was to work on his like IP project called Lobot, and it was just um, like really junky robots in space, like mining robots, and he already had some stuff done on it. It's Robot, I think it's online somewhere, and yeah, it was pretty like he just let me do what I wanted to do. There wasn't too much specifics. It was pretty free,
Yeah.
and I could just like um, make stuff that I could use in my portfolio while I was there. Um, and we discussed it together a lot of the time as well, just like ideas of what to create and what to do for the world building.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I believe Matt can't pronounce
Matt
his second name.
LeQuence.
Yeah,
LeQuence. Yeah.
yeah. He was there as well, and we worked together on some stuff. I think shoot, there was another person there at the time.
Oh, that will be
Tom.
Tom. That's it. Yeah. So Tom,
Yeah,
right? Matt LeQuence was also an ex-student at Priestley. He worked there for a while. He doesn't work there now. He works for another company, but he spent quite a lot of time helping Glenn develop certain work. And then Tom, he's an ex-warrior. He's somebody who I think he was the year before you, and he works there, and he still works there now. And he does quite a lot of work. So like, I've mentioned Glenn before in past videos, and those who are familiar with the course will know Glenn, and how well he supported us.
yeah,
But this again, I can't stress how much this was really important at this time because one of the big things I felt was that you needed some form of coaching as such to get
yeah,
you to manage yourself better
yeah,
because of that
yeah,
intensity. Would you agree?
yeah. I did like burn out a lot because I mean I kind of see why now,
Yeah.
but uh, mm, but I did burn out a lot at the start,
Yeah.
especially at that time. There was like I draw a lot for like say weeks or like a month, and then I'd have like a week or a month of not drawing at all because I was burnt out.
That was pretty rough, right? That really did affect you. Like
Yeah,
you were starting to have like a pretty rough time towards the latter part of that, right?
yeah, yeah. Um,
So
but
how do you manage with that now?
managed that now. I just take breaks regularly, and also like I guess something more personal would be like the reason I did a lot or did for a long time when I drew, I would be very like almost competitive, I guess, in a sense that if someone could do something that I couldn't do, then I would want to do that thing and prove to myself that I can do that thing. So like if I saw somebody do environment, I would want to start doing environment so I can prove to myself that I can do that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I did realize that um, a lot of it came from some early childhood stuff, like early childhood stuff being that when I was first started, I guess it goes even further back, but like um, I wanted to like make my stepdad proud because like when I was younger, like my parents divorced, so I always wanted to make my father proud. And when I first started drawing, I remember showing my father this painting of a portrait I did, and I remember being told that it was easy to do because anybody can copy a photograph. And so I think that embedded itself in my mind that I had to do stuff that wasn't easy to do and that was hard to do,
Yeah.
and that if other people can do something that I could do, then it wasn't good enough, and I had to be the best, and I had to do things that other people could do and do them better than other people could do. And it put me in a really bad mindset of always competing, always um, drawing, and
Mm-hmm.
also like I didn't have my own identity with my own art. Like I remember telling you I don't have a style
Yeah.
when I've early on, and I was because I didn't like. I would always do stuff in other people's styles because I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. And what I could do wasn't what I could do wasn't good enough by itself. It had to be what other people could do and better, and other people can't do. And now it's more like I've realized this like a month ago or like a few months ago. I took a mentorship with this guy called Roma Tazi,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically the coaching was like discovering myself and like why I do things and why I thought stuff instead of like teaching me how to draw and stuff. It was more like why I was drawing stuff and what reason I was drawing stuff and finding my own identity. And I discovered a lot of stuff about myself in that um, I always had this need to prove to myself and to prove to other people. And I always pushed myself like to never be happy with my own work because the moment if I was even like happy with my own work for a moment, then I was so afraid of being complacent that I would oh, that I was so afraid of being complacent that um, I thought I had to hate my own stuff in order to improve. Like I can't like what I draw, and I guess in a sense that made drawing very painful in like for a long time. Like it was a lot of um, I got frustrated a lot when something didn't look good enough, and
Yeah.
I
Quite
got like
anxious about it and quite angst about
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, and I remember dumping a lot of paintings away just because they weren't good enough, or like say um, art station quality, and um, I just realized now that um, I don't want to like I want to have fun with drawing, and I want to like also have my own identity with drawing because with what I was doing with needing to prove to myself I can do what other people could do was also like a crutch because I always did what other people could do, but I never like tried walking on my own in
Mm.
the sense that it was also like I guess like an easy way out because when I drew, I would have other people's work in front of me, and I'd like look at their artistic decisions or what they did or how they did certain things, and then like mimic that. And the results were good, like as you could see from like the art book and stuff. The results were, I would say, higher than my actual skill level at the time, of what came out. But it also like meant I wasn't making artistic decisions by myself. Like
Mm.
I wasn't deciding on what I like to draw or the way I like to do things because I always did it the way other people like to do things. And that made me have a sense of no identity with my own stuff because none of the decisions I was doing was my own decisions. Like choosing a color or choosing a subject matter or the way of designing something. Like a lot of it wasn't my like it was like having safety wheels on a bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't choosing to ride the bicycle by myself because I guess in a sense I was too afraid of falling over and getting hurt. Like if I made my own decisions, right, they might not be very good decisions, and the work might come out really ugly. And I was so afraid of that that it also pushed me to use other people's decisions because they're already tested and tried. Um,
Right.
I already know
So
they work.
one of those things then were obviously trying to be this was getting to the point where you were being a little bit more open-minded, being a bit more experimental then. So it was less worried about the final outcome, essentially.
Yeah. This is where I am now. Like it's said, less worried about the final outcome, but also knowing that I have to make my own decisions
Yeah.
if I want to have my own like I don't want to spend my life drawing like somebody else. Like
Mm.
I'd like to find myself and draw my own stuff. Because it
I
would
think
be
I think
yep.
again when you think about it as well, this is to get to that point and understand all of that. And again, I refer back to the fact that your age and your experience. Um, the journey that you took obviously was important because it actually enabled you to figure that aspect out. You know, um,
Yeah. I
making your own choices. Because this was another thing. Like when you came back, when your time with Glenn finished,
mhm.
um, there was kind of like this idea of going away to study, wasn't there? And you were starting to put together a portfolio, and so again that intensity was still there, and it was still slightly better managed, but it was still there, and you'd already made a decision. So you came back to us on a part time because you moved to Manchester, and so we said, oh well, you can come back to us part time, and we'll just manage sort of like your progression and your development aspect of what you were doing. So we changed the program for you slightly, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then it was about the uni thing now. Well, choosing universities and deciding what you wanted to do. Again, you did your research and you found that like the UK didn't really have what you wanted. It wasn't really answering what it is that you needed at that point to progress you. Is that right?
Yeah. I went to a lot of open days at the time. Um I went to Falmouth, I went to the Montfort, I think I went to Teesside, uh Stats. I'm not sure about Stats, but I went to quite a few open days, like just going on a train and traveling there by myself.
And
Um,
you kind of knew what you were looking for, though. You had something in your mind of exactly what it is that you wanted, right?
yeah, I wanted a place with good teachers, and um, I wanted to be able to learn what I needed to learn to get a job,
Yeah,
and I didn't feel strongly that those places could do that for me. Like very, at least very specifically,
yeah,
Falmouth wasn't like a concept art thing. Like they had a few concept art teachers there, but it was also game design and
yeah,
other stuff. And I wasn't too keen on going down the game art direction either, like
yeah,
modeling and that. I feel like I can just start specializing now, and it would be more beneficial to me to specialize instead of being generalist or
yeah,
like spending time trying to do 3D models and school projects.
yeah,
So I looked at a lot of options abroad. I think we discussed it, some of them as well.
yeah. I mean, we obviously we discussed FZD, didn't we? You were really into the idea of going there at one point, and you started to create a portfolio for that, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, actually, it was Art Center in
Oh,
US.
sorry, yeah, sorry. So you originally said that you were going to go to Singapore, wasn't it? And then you started. Then it was the art center, and you started to create your portfolio for the art center, which essentially was part of your final major project that you did with us, which was that art book.
Yeah, it
Um,
was the hardcover book.
yeah. So when did you decide that like the art center wasn't a go or Singapore wasn't a go? Because you eventually you ended up in Poland. So how did Poland come about?
Um, hmm. Well, I guess like Art Center, I kind of lost motivation to go there because it was like I after I made the book, I realized like it would still probably be really expensive to go to Art Center,
Yeah,
even if I get like a scholarship, because they weren't going to offer a fully paid scholarship. It'd be like 12 grand or like something like that um, per term, and that still wasn't enough, I guess, for me. Even though my parents were fully on board with supporting me to go, I didn't see it as a good use of money, um, of my family's money and or time, because I did research about Art Center and I wasn't like it was a really good place, but I wasn't sure the cost was worth it because I think when I checked, it was like 50K a year to study there.
that's insane.
4 years and it's like 20 grand. So it's like crazy. And I wasn't sure. Like, I was pretty sure I can learn and get a job without paying that amount of money. So I looked at Singapore and I was keen on going there for a while, but it was still really expensive and it was still really expensive and I wasn't too sure about the teachers there. Like there weren't that many teachers there and I wasn't too impressed by the work. And also it seemed like they taught a lot of fundamental stuff first, which I already kind of knew by the time like I finished college. And I wasn't sure it was a good use of money again because I guess I just didn't want to waste money or like waste a year going somewhere that was super expensive. Um, yeah, and I was looking at online other places that were available, and I saw Poland, which just newly opened. I think I was the second term of students there, and
Is that's called Focal School? Is that right?
Focal Point.
Focal
Yeah,
Point. That's it.
Focal
Yeah.
Point.
I mean, that was completely and utterly random. I remember you getting the message that you were saying, "Yeah, I'm going to Poland." And like, just so you know, like in Jason's group that year, there was 3 Polish lads in the group. So Joe Chim, Bart,
Conrad,
and
Bart.
Conrad, right? And like they just when they heard that Jason was going to Poland, I mean, you can imagine the banter that was going through the chat and the
What
stick.
the world?
It was yeah, it was just
Ah,
completely and utterly randomly. Like you're gonna get eaten alive in Poland,
oh,
and before you know it, you were on a plane and you were moving everything over to to go to a school on your own. So this shy guy that started the course that didn't speak to anybody really and just started to kind of like get to know everybody.
wait. I like to put it out there that even though I was shy, I was less shy than Brett because he didn't speak to anybody.
Oh,
Like,
right. Well, we will at some point. I will do a video with Brett, right? But that takes a lot of energy. Yeah, Brett in year one did not speak to anybody, right? Brett in year two didn't shut up, and, and Brett and Brett to this day, right? Still does does not stop. and he'll be buzzing off the fact that he's getting a mention in the video because now this video will belong to him in his eyes. But yeah, the two of you were very quiet. All right, he didn't speak in fish, but still at that point, if we'd have said you were going to go and move to Poland to go and study at a school, that was just not a thing that was going to happen. So you moved there, and how long were you there for?
3 months. 3 months roughly.
And how was that? And what was that experience like?
A lot of instant noodles and microwave food and oven food. And I remember I cooked a hot dog. No, yeah, I cooked a hot dog in a kettle because I was too lazy to put it on a pan.
Did it taste good?
Yeah, it was a hot dog. It tasted like a hot dog.
What did
But the water in the kettle tasted funny.
Oh my god. Oh.
I remember the first day I was there, the place I was staying at had no microwave.
Yeah.
So my first purchase was my microwave. And I walked like 2 miles to the nearest shopping mall because I was in the middle of like nowhere. So I had to like walk through a highway to the shopping mall to buy a microwave. And I carried this heavy box all the way back to the place I was staying. And then I ate microwave food, but because I didn't have time to cook because of the workload there. Like I was keen on learning to cook, but
just so you know, people, Jason's mum owns a restaurant, right? And they make amazing food. It's amazing, right? But then Jason can't cook.
I mean, everyone else knows how to cook. It's like there isn't a necessity.
Oh god. So I mean that was something else as well. Like you're saying, it was very intense as well, wasn't it? So again, this was another thing that was obviously going to be impacting on you because it's been quite intense for 2 years, and then deciding to then move to Poland and it was only a 3-month period. You did is that a semester or was it 2 semesters that you did?
That was a single semester, yeah. I believe.
And did you feel like you got a lot out of that?
No. I went to Canada afterwards, and I feel like I got a lot out of that school in Canada.
Okay,
but
so
Poland
was a trial run.
Yeah, I think I had a problem with the workload.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it was healthy as the way they set it up for students, the workload. Because there was another guy who was taking the same amount of courses as I was taking, which was a full term. And when you take a full term, you get a discount. So that was obviously what they wanted you to take.
Yeah.
And so this was what my week was like. I went to school for 3 hours. I got homework. Then I took a train back home, and then did the homework from like morning when I woke up to when I went to sleep, and then repeat that again and again through the week until I had to go to school again to show the homework. And that was like 10 weeks of that. It was
there was no break in that.
No break. And sometimes, like, even though I spent like the entire week, like every waking hour on the homework, there would be actually every single week there'd be like one class's homework that I didn't finish enough. And I remember like once on the taxi drive to school, I was still like doing the homework on the taxi, trying to get it done. I think overall the school is just like the planning, because it was relatively new and they didn't have a lot of stuff planned. And there was this funny thing where they told you off if you you had to, when you did the homework, you had to print it out, right? And
Yeah.
so they can stick it on the wall, and then they give you feedback on it.
Yeah.
But if you didn't print it out, so they told you off for it, right? But here's the thing: the printer, like the printing place, didn't open on weekends, and all of our classes were on weekends. And so all of us would be working on our homework all the way till our classes, and we wouldn't be able to print them on the day that the classes were on. So we have to like finish our homework on Friday basically before our classes. We had so much work that none of us usually finished them all. Um,
That's mad. So the setup was still a bit new, and it was still a bit sort of like a bit disorganized. And then obviously the
yeah,
workload seemed really intense. So
yeah.
you knew pretty much early on then that you were only going to do a semester. And so
Um,
when you came back to the UK, did you know that you'd already decided that you already did you know that you wanted to go to Canada, or was that something that you decided when you got back to the UK, or was it something that you decided in Poland?
when I got back to UK, I actually after um, I left Poland with the impression that that kind of workload was just the way it was in the industry and how jobs were,
Yeah.
because that was more what my two teachers told me. And I guess that's the other thing was like I don't think the mentality that they were teaching was healthy for people, but I guess I understand why it was necessary. Like it was a very intense, hardworking mentality, but also like it's also very unsustainable and unhealthy to work like that. Um, I left Poland with the impression that that was just the way it was in the industry, and for like a couple of months, I wasn't sure if I wanted to. I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep be a concept artist or work
Mm-hmm.
as a concept artist. I remember I just took a tangent and started doing book cover and like commission stuff for novels and novels and stories. But after a few months, I decided like I still needed to I still wanted to keep studying, and so I looked at what was available, and it was because basically, well, when I got back to UK, I was pretty like down for a while because
Yeah.
like I wasn't sure what I wanted to do.
Did you
Like,
feel like you were pretty burnt
uh,
out from it?
yeah, after Poland, I was really burnt out. Like for a month, I didn't draw anything.
Yeah.
Um, I just couldn't bring myself to draw anything. It just, yeah, I was pretty miserable.
Mm.
And that's the other thing. I don't think that's the other thing why I said I don't think I got that much out of Poland was because um, there, like, I didn't learn much in terms of like critique or lessons there. It
Yeah.
was mostly like being set a lot of homework and doing a lot of homework and getting a lot out of the aspect of doing a lot of stuff. But the feedback wasn't too like amazing
Mm.
or like and the teaching wasn't like not they were good teachers and they're good artists, but it wasn't stuff you couldn't find online
Yeah.
or elsewhere.
Yeah. I suppose it sounds to me as if it was the discipline aspect of it was way more of a focus rather than the creativity aspect of it and the freedom of
Yeah,
the creativity into it. I
yeah,
think working it, and especially if they're selling it like as a um, semester at a time, a training, intense training, and that sort of thing. It doesn't really, you don't really get what necessarily that you need out of it. And if, especially if you're going to be starting out in an industry, it's not giving you, let's say, the realistic experience that you need to develop yourself. So it must have been a bit of an eye opener in that sense. But again, because you were so young at that time, you would only expect it to be what it must be like. So when you got to Canada, how did that differ from it? What was different about Canada? Because I know that you liked it.
oh yeah, definitely. Actually, I guess like if I was older and I went to Poland, I probably would have coped better with the
Yeah,
workload because
yeah,
I was 17 or like 18 at the time.
Yeah.
Um, and in their defense, they did run us through a lot of industry pipelines and stuff like
Yeah.
they actually did in the industry. Anyway, Canada was different because the school was long time established. They ran like in a similar way of semesters, like 10-week, 12-week courses.
Yeah.
But Canada was already established enough to have like a permanent place that they rented out for the classrooms,
Mhm.
as well as a full support team, like a reception team and the people you could email, not just the teachers, like dedicated support, student support there, and also the workload was much more like I took 2 more classes when I was in Canada, compared to when I was in Poland. I took 3 in Poland, but I took 5 in Canada, and even still, the workload was easily manageable.
Yeah.
Because I guess they've already trialed it many, many times. And I remember the first day in Canada when everybody sat down in front of the person who ran the place. We immediately had a chat about mental health and like if we were having problems with mental health, we could like talk to them and they know people we could talk to or
Yeah.
like support things for us in Canada, in Montreal. So they've obviously had a lot of experience with that already. Like they ran it for maybe like a couple of years already, the
Yeah.
course, compared to Poland, which is fresh. Um, Other than that, I mean, we were expected to have 5 hours of homework done for each class, and that was easily manageable, at least for me. Um, Other than that, we had life drawing every 2 weeks. Oh,
Yeah.
no, every fortnight. And also, it was a good social event to just talk to people and also relax. That
You
was something
started
they
to
didn't have in
socialize a
Poland.
little bit more at that point then.
Yeah, yeah, I started to socialize a little more. And they had game jams.
Yeah.
Not game jams, art jams, which was game jams without the programming and just the drawing and art coming up with idea, which was a fun group project. They also had visiting industry studios, which was really good. Like we went on a field trip. Um, I remember the first one I went to was
Yeah.
Ludas or Ludian. Um, it was a mobile game company that made How to Train Your Dragon mobile game and D&D mobile game, and that was really cool just to see the inside of a company for the first time. The second one was
It seems
IDOS.
it seems
Yeah,
like it was a lot more organized and obviously embedded a little bit better compared to Poland.
it
And
was
obviously it give you
fun.
that. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, and it seemed more fun. It seemed like it gave you the breathing room, so it took a
Yeah,
bit of pressure off you, and was allowed you to kind of look forward a little bit with regards to where you essentially was going to go or what you were going to do, because it give you that break to do that. So at this point, then, was you starting to realize in yourself then that you needed to kind of instill a form of control and a form of like um, I don't know, discipline in the sense of how much work you were doing and reduce the sort of the weight that you're putting on yourself? Did you feel like you were starting to see that?
uh, I was. I I'm starting to see that after I got back, but at the time I was still pretty like I still pretty pushed myself a lot.
Still
Just
pretty
it wasn't.
intense, like.
Yeah, yeah. I was like I said. I was I wanted to do things that nobody else could do, and I wanted to prove myself. So I was still pretty. Um, I still wanted to. Uh, I still wanted to be good, and I still wanted to be good as quickly as possible, and I wanted to get a job as soon as possible as well.
Yeah.
So I was still pretty intense there, but some stuff happened. I think you have an idea of what
Yeah.
happened. So like, yeah. So other than the thing that actually happened, like when I was when the Canada experience got derailed quite a
Yeah.
lot because of what happened. Other than that, it was pretty good. But when it got when it got derailed, I got pretty like down for
Yeah.
like I think my last 3 months there was pretty bad, like pretty
Yeah.
down because of somebody.
Yeah.
And when I came back, it was I was still kind of down uh, because of somebody again. But after that resolved itself in say February, that's
Yeah.
when things started picking up again. Like
Yeah.
I started finding myself again
Yeah.
after all that shit.
Well,
But
you also at that point when you came back to the UK from Canada,
yeah.
when did you decide then that you were going to start looking for work? Because again, for those that know Jason as well, it's like looking at the not just the age aspect of it, but like finishing college, couple of semesters here or there. So if you add those semesters up, we're talking about finishing maybe sort of like a single year at university. And those of you that are at university know what your first year at university is like. All right. But this was obviously a lot different. So you got maybe sort of like a full year of university done separated across two different places. And then you've come back. And then what sort of said to you, right, I'm gonna look for a job because what made you feel like this was the time and you should do it?
Well, even in Canada, I was being told I was ready for a job, like from my teachers
Yeah.
and the work I was showing them. I think I started applying for jobs in after my first 3 months in Canada. I started applying for jobs
Yeah.
just in companies in Canada and in companies in the UK. I remember doing an art test
Mm-hmm.
for playground games.
Yeah.
Um, but I kind of like already knew I was ready for a job. I think even even before I went to Poland, when I showed people my what should I call it book, hardcover book at an industry event called industry workshops. I showed it around to professionals and recruiters and other artists who are already working, and I was already told I should start applying.
Yeah.
I think I felt like I wasn't ready
Yeah.
uh, at the time, and I also wasn't sure if I wanted to work in films or games.
Yeah.
And also, I just didn't want to start working because all my friends were in university having a good time. I was like, but I don't know. Like, it was a weird thing. But when I came back from the Canada, I already knew I should be working. I can start working. I was just sick and tired of studying. Like,
Yeah.
I was really tired of studying because the longer you study, the longer I felt like, the more I felt like I was less and less ready for a job. Like the longer time I spent studying, the more distant getting a job
Right.
felt like. And
Yeah.
it just felt like endless studying, never stopped, just never ready. And I knew I had to find a job. Like I was ready for a while now,
Yeah.
and I couldn't keep studying because if I kept studying, it wouldn't have been good for me career wise, but it wouldn't
Yeah.
have been good for me mentally either.
Yeah.
Just
So you essentially you were just ready. It was time to put it out there and see what was available. And so, how many jobs did you apply for in the UK then when you got back? Before, how many jobs did you apply for before you got the one that you've got at Firesprite at the minute?
Actually, I didn't apply for any jobs when I got back to the UK. When I was in still in after 3 months when I was in Canada, I took a period to apply for jobs, and
Yeah,
I wrote my cover letter. I
yeah,
did my portfolio. I did my job CV application. The usual stuff, and I got quite a few rejections there. But then after I got that set of rejections, I didn't apply anymore because there wasn't any place left to apply
yeah,
to. Um, when I came back to the UK and I wanted to start applying, I remember you telling me about Firesprite, and also my cousin told me like instead of applying the usual way with job cover letter and sending it in, um, to just hit up the people directly on LinkedIn. That's what he
yeah,
suggested to me.
yeah,
And
yeah,
he also suggested to make like an Excel document of the top 100 companies that I wanted to work for,
yeah,
um, starting with the one I most wanted to work for and ending with the one I least wanted to work for. And making sure also like collecting information on how to contact the important people in each of those companies,
yeah.
like art director or producer, like those kind of people. So I had this Excel sheet of like companies and key people in the company. I just started writing
Who,
little short messages.
Jason, who was on the top of your list? Who was on that? Who was the one play? Who is the one place at the top of that list that you were like, this is who I want to work for?
Oh man, I don't know. I I don't remember now. Um, no, I genuinely don't remember. Like there were a couple places, but I wasn't too sure. But I think I
So
only made the list of 25 because I couldn't find any other places I wanted to
yeah,
work at. Um, I remember getting, I didn't get rejected. It's like, because I didn't apply properly, I just sent them messages on LinkedIn.
yeah, yeah,
So they either ignored me or sent something back.
yeah,
And I remember Firesprite was like the first one that sent something back. And they asked, like, just send my, when I sent my message to
portfolio.
Lee, yeah,
Yeah,
Lee Karras, um, he told me to send my stuff into the job place, and so I took that as a good sign. I mean,
yeah,
job email. I took that as a good sign, so I did. And then the next week, I had an interview with them in Liverpool, and that went off well. So uh, I took the job because they sounded really nice. I didn't know much about the project at the time, but like it was close to home, and I didn't have to move.
mm,
And I was so tired of like trying to keep applying to places because I applied like a lot and I wrote a lot of cover letters before, and I
yeah,
was just so tired of writing every single cover letter and making it
mm,
unique. I was like, I should take this job because even if it's like, even if it's not what I want to do, it will be a good experience for me.
mm,
And even if it's not what I want to do specifically, it will be like a good step in the right direction
yeah,
over continuing to study, and I will be able to earn money. So if I do want to keep studying, I have money to keep studying.
yeah.
But it's all good because I love the job in the end. The project we're
Well,
working
I
on
was
is
gonna
actually
say, so like
successful.
when you started it, was it like, was it a massive surprise to the fact that like, not because because of what you just basically said, to go in there and start the work, and then I know how happy you currently are, and what in a good place that you currently are, and that you enjoy your work and stuff. So was that like a massive relief? Is it
Um,
kind of like, were you kind of like happy to have made that jump and put it out there?
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad I like took the job and I applied for jobs, because I thought, even though I thought like I would be doing some like something like environmental props, which wasn't like I could do it and I
Yeah.
liked doing it, but it wasn't what I really, really wanted to do.
Yeah.
I was still okay with doing it. Um, but it turns out I get to do characters, which is what I really, really want to do.
Yeah.
So like that's fine for me.
So you
I'm
really
chuffed.
dropped on. It was like, well, I get to do basically what I like to do, and I get paid for it, and I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah. I wasn't expecting to get to do this until maybe after a year or two of experience as an artist, as a concept artist.
Yeah.
But I get to do it as a junior position, so yeah, I have no complaints. I'm super chuffed.
Oh, super chuffed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so the place and the people that you work with are nice, right? And have you learned much since you've been there? Do you think? Do you feel like you're developing nicely now, and it's a less pressure?
Yeah, yeah, I feel comfortable now. I learned a lot. I think I improved a lot in the sense that I stopped being too perfectionistic with my work.
Yeah.
When I started the job, I just had to get something done to a certain level, and then I just have to like send it off.
Yeah.
And because when I used to do stuff, I would take like I would keep refining it and refining it until like there was like maybe 20 more hours on it than I needed to spend. And that was just being too perfectionistic with my work.
Mm.
And it was all really like I learned to just mm, I learned to call something done and
Yeah.
also like stop drawing and also just be okay with not being perfect.
Yeah. I
And that
mean,
was that was yeah.
there's some great, like, there's been some real great advice that have come out of what we've talked about, um, especially through like your experiences and through trying to figure out exactly what it is that you want to do. And I think a lot of people can honestly relate to that, especially going into sort of this kind of industry, because there is a lot of pressure on you to be as good as you can possibly be, the competitive nature of it all.
Yeah,
um
yeah, for sure.
if you could give like one key bit of advice to aspiring concept artists, not just in you know not just my lot, but anybody else that's watching it wants to kind of go down the route of being a concept artist, what would that be, mate? What would you advise them?
Um hmm. So I like recently I've been thinking about this thing called a core as an artist.
Mm,
And what it is like it's like your identity as an artist of like how you like doing things and how you want to do things and what you like drawing, the way you like drawing. It's like a ball of who you are as an artist. And that is something that takes quite a while to build, and I think it's very important to build. Otherwise, like what I was, this is learning from my experience was that because I spent such a long time doing what other people did and trying to prove myself, I spent a long time not having an identity or like a core of how the way I specifically enjoyed doing stuff or the way I like the stuff like I like to draw specifically. And that is something I think is very, very important, especially for me right now. And for if I did go back in time, that was something I'd start working on straight away. Was that was building the core, and that is just to build the core. It's just drawing a lot by yourself,
mm-hmm.
having making sure you're having fun while you're drawing, and also not being afraid to make your own decisions, like exploring exploring if instead of trying to figure out how someone else did something, you can figure out how you want to do it instead. Experimenting and trying different ways to do things, but also failing. I think failing is a necessary thing.
Mm.
um, you have to there are some failures you just have to take in order to grow and also to find yourself and what you like to do. I guess the whole thing about me trying to be like other people, that was like a huge failure for me that I'm learning from. um, because I have to, in order to be artistically free and also to be happy, I have to be myself. Um, there's something else.
Man, that alone is
Oh,
that's a hell of a piece of advice, and I think a lot of people.
oh, right. Also, this might condense it a little. Was making failure your objective when you tried something. Like, I'm not saying do stupid things. Like, if you know something's gonna fail, don't do it. But it's like, if you feel like it could work, like say an experiment or like a way of doing something, if you feel like it could work, then you should most definitely like go for it and try it out. And if it doesn't work, then that's a failure that's beneficial to you. Like every one of those failures that failed in the attempt of learning something new, that's growing. So yeah, try and get as many of those failures as you can, because in the process you grow a lot more than
Yeah.
copying other people or trying to be like other people.
So many people are afraid of failing and not getting it right. It's drilled into them from such a young age as they go through school
Yeah,
and what have you. It's kind of to remember that that failure point is really important for the progression or the development of their craft. Is, you know, it is something that you realize later on when you're allowed to, and it's figuring out when that time is that you are allowed to fail, that you're allowed to make those mistakes, because there's such a lot of pressure on young people to not make mistakes, to not fail, to always
yeah,
succeed, to do this, to do that. You know, it's, you know, there's a lot of weight on it, and being able to relax and, you know, make errors, make mistakes, get things wrong, fail in certain things, but in the name of kind of progressing and developing yourself, you know, is a concept that I definitely believe in. It's definitely something that I like to see with my lot and those coming through. Is it's more about the process of getting somewhere, and failure is important to that. But you know, it took you a great deal of time and energy and burnout to realize and get to that point. It takes
yeah,
just as long time for other students to get to that point, even when they're coming through university to the end and looking for a job. It takes them a great deal of time. So it's wise words coming from such a young body to be able to kind of give that and say, look, this is my experience. This is what I've seen, and this is how I've come about, and it's now worked for me. And people listening, you know, Jason, you work extremely hard. You always have done since the day that I met you. Um, you've never put that pencil down, but it's always been in the idea of getting to your goal. And we've talked many times about goals and like setting them, and like I'm a believer of that as well. I'm very much a believer of having a goal there in order for us to know exactly the path that we need to take to achieve it. And you taught me quite a lot about that quite early on as we discussed about it. So have you got a final goal? Have you got not a final goal, but what's your next goal? What is, do you have one, or have you given yourself time to just enjoy the moment for a bit?
uh, goal. I would say like right now, I realized what I actually want to do. That was part of the mentorship I took a while back,
Yeah.
was finding the stuff that was meaningful to me to create, like what I enjoyed creating. Because for a long time I created what other people created, like, you know, to prove myself and all that. But what I actually really, really enjoy creating is stories and telling stories, because I always loved reading. And my goal right now is to improve my storytelling skills visually, so I can tell the story that's in my head. Um, there's a there's a couple stories I'm working on right now, but I know that this is something I'm really lacking, because I can draw, but I'm not that good with actually telling a story.
Mm.
And that's my goal right now, is to work on my storytelling skills until I can show the story in my head to people, to everyone else, until I can tell my story.
Yeah, that's
And
excellent.
yeah, I'd like to tell I like to tell the story that has a lot of my own experience in. I
Mm.
like to create some characters that are very I put aspects of myself in my characters. Like maybe the characters are selfish sometimes, or jealous sometimes, or greedy sometimes, and I like to. It's difficult to put in words,
Yeah.
but I like to tell a story of my experiences through my characters, of some lessons I've learned through life, and
Yeah.
even something simple as not being vain or not being too jealous and not comparing yourself to other people. I like to tell that
Yeah.
story in like maybe the form of a fantasy story,
Mm.
like telling it with
A lot of your work at the minute up on Art Station is based around storytelling, isn't it? I mean, the book that you created was based around a very strong narrative and so
yeah.
on. It's like, so you can see that is something that is an obvious passion.
It's
Uh,
always been there, but like I've kind of ignored it or like didn't
while
focus too much on it.
while you focused on other aspects of your development. But now, I
Yeah,
suppose with being able to kind of relax and enjoy what you're doing, you can then start to pull that into place and focus on that. Jason, this has been really cool. I really enjoyed it. It's been a really good chat, and you've not done too bad there with your drawing. It's all right.
I wouldn't
It's all right,
say.
mate. It's all right. I mean, it's I've seen better. I've seen better, mate.
Uh,
I think Brett might have knocked out something a bit quicker, like. But I'm not. I'm not trying to throw in competition there.
oh, now he's gonna draw on his interview as well.
Mate, yeah, we will do. We will do at some point. I'm not going to interview him for a while. I might say to him,
Oh,
"I'm not going to interview you till you get a job." But then he tells me that he's
oh,
got one, so we'll see. We'll see. I might just do one for him anyway, just because I feel sorry for him. Bless him.
no.
Anyway, mate, look, I really appreciate it. Listen, send me the finished article. Yeah, finish your drawing off for me, and will you send it me?
Yeah,
And then I
yeah, I'll
can
send it.
throw it on the end of the interview. That'd be really, really good. Jason, I really appreciate you taking your time out. Don't want to take any more of your time. It's bank holiday weekend. No, it's
Yeah,
not. It's not a bank holiday weekend, actually.
it's a bank holiday Friday.
Oh, cut that out. Yeah, but cheers. Thank you very much for spending that time and taking us through your journey, mate. Taking us through your journey
Oh,
to work. It's great.
oh
I'll,
no, thanks for inviting me onto this interview.
it's cool. Anytime,
Yeah,
brother. Anytime, mate.
I
All right,
I hope
man.
somebody finds this useful.
I hope so. I'm sure they will, mate. I'm sure they will. Some good chat. All right, matey. Listen, I'll speak to you soon. Take care and keep in touch, right?
Yeah, you too.
All right,
Take
mate,
care.
matey. Take care. Thank
We
you.
should
Ta-ra, man.
we should grab a we should grab. I'll visit you at some point when the quarantine's over and we can grab a drink.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. Meeting up soon. All right, matey. Take care. Bye-bye, man.
You too. Take care.